All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. This is the Fantasy Football Fanatics podcast, the official podcast of thefantasyfootballfanatics.com. It is Friday, April 12th. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Griffin. We've got the whole gang here. We've got CJ. We've got Jason. What's up, guys?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on?
Not too much. How you doing?
I haven't talked to CJ in like 2 months, man. What's going on?
It's been a long time.
What's up, guy?
Been a while.
It has been a while since the whole gang was together. Not once since we've been on Twitch has this happened, but we're all here. We're live, all three of us, and what a great show. This is one of those shows that everybody's going to they should be listening to, because today we're getting into not just further into a topic we've been talking about with our early consensus rankings, but that one that everybody always seems to just laser focus on, which is the running back rankings. So we're getting to our early running back rankings. We're going to probably deep dive the top 12. We're not doing 2 shows because the NFL draft is earlier this year, so we're just not going to have time. So we're going to probably just rapid hit the RB2s, and we'll just leave it at that for now. And of course, bring you all the top headlines from around the league. As per usual, subscribe wherever you're listening. We're a year-round podcast every Tuesday and Friday, bringing you all the information you need. You can watch us live on Twitch. We are, you can watch the replays on YouTube. We are on iTunes, Google Play, Podcast Addict, all over the place, Stitcher. Just search for The Fantasy Football Fanatics. You'll probably find us. You can follow us on Twitter at the FF Fanatics. Get your questions in there, or on Facebook at facebook.com/The Fantasy Football Fanatics. And if you want to go above and beyond, really support the show, you can do one of 2 things. 1, rate, review. Goes an unbelievably far way to support the show. Really can't stress that enough. Or if you want to help these lights stay on, these microphones recording, head over to patreon.com/the fantasy football fanatics and help us do all types of fun stuff. And we're hoping to start up probably doing a bonus show there again, like we used to. Not maybe every week like we were, but we're going to get the ball rolling there as we get closer to the season as well. So check in there for more details. But with that being said, let's move into our top headlines from around the league. And we'll start off at the running back position, where Jacksonville Jaguars running back, Leonard Fournette, was arrested after a traffic violation. Now, this was due to a citation that he got back in November, and he had not paid the citation, and therefore he was driving on a suspended license. So, guys, as of this recording, because it's not quite, we're barely into Friday as of this recording. Have you guys heard anything new?
No, I haven't. This is my first time hearing about this, too.
Oh, man. Completely unplugged. Caught CJ off guard. Jason, what about you, bud?
You're breaking news for me.
Breaking news.
You're actually breaking it for me, too. It's first I've heard of it.
Oh, man. You guys are... okay, so fine. I'm on it. Well, essentially...
Now we know who has the lives on this show.
I know, right? It's weird that happens. Well, from what I can tell, the team is investigating. They haven't released any sort of additional statement or news or anything surrounding the situation. I guess the better question is, and this is something that we can just simply talk about and debate, what do you think the repercussions are going to be for this? Because it's not, when I heard it was just because of some sort of citation, I was thinking, okay, well, accidents happen, people make mistakes, whatever, maybe I didn't know about it. But driving on a suspended license, that's a little bit more serious. Now, I don't know if the team's going to react, because obviously he was already on thin ice coming into the season. And now this happens. Does he face repercussions from the team? League disciplined? Does this break the personal conduct policy? What do you guys think?
I think at most, you're probably going to get a fine. I don't know if he's going to miss any time as far as games or anything, but I think he's probably going to get a sizable fine.
Yep. Jason, what are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, he'll probably be fined. They may do like a suspension or something stupid like that, but yeah, I think he'll probably get a fine. My question is, how are you not going to pay a ticket, dude? You make like $4 million a year. You can't pay a ticket?
I know, right?
What is wrong with you?
Power.
It's pretty academic, but I don't know. He hasn't exactly been the most upstanding person we've ever seen. Maybe he forgot about it. Give him benefit of the doubt. Who knows? But we'll know more probably by our next recording. So we'll see how this all plays out. The team said simply, again, they're monitoring the situation and acquiring information. As of this recording, that's all we know. Let's move on. Arizona Cardinals running back David Johnson was recently quoted by saying that he's excited to run more plays out of the shotgun formation. So, Jason, what are your thoughts on David Johnson running shotgun instead of I formation?
I'm excited to see David Johnson do anything after last year. The way that they did not utilize him hardly at all last year is ridiculous. This spread offense, and this is something that I've been kind of correcting people online recently about, and people keep calling it an air raid offense. It's actually not an air raid offense that Cliff Kingsbury runs. He runs a modified spread, and David Johnson being a former wide receiver, it's awesome having him as a former wide receiver because he can come out of that backfield, he can catch the ball. I'm not a big fan of draw plays and stuff like that, which is a lot of what you run from the shotgun. That delayed handoff draw. Not a big fan of that. But with David Johnson, he has the patience and the ability to kind of make it work. So again, any usage of David Johnson is a good thing. So I'm excited.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, he's got a skill set. He's going to be one of those guys that's probably taken latter half of the first round, kind of the lower end of the elite running back ones. And he's a guy that, kind of like we were talking about just recently, he's got the potential, because he's done it before, to give you the number one overall running back potential. I mean, obviously we haven't seen it the last couple of years. Last year was a dumpster fire in Arizona. The year before that, injuries. So things have derailed him as of late. We haven't seen it in a couple of years, but we know he's got it in him. He's not that old. I think he's going to be, whoever waits on him is going to get one heck of a bargain, which is kind of why, CJ, you and I think we're talking about this. I'm very much in the boat that I'd kind of like to be in the latter half of the first round if I'm doing a snake draft, because I could scoop up a guy like a David Johnson probably and still get my hands on probably an elite top 3, top 5 wide receiver. So that's kind of where I'm looking at things right now. So yeah, I'm excited. Any new creative way to use David Johnson, we know he's got the skill set. Hopefully it translates well. Let's go to Carolina with the Panthers, where running back Christian McCaffrey said he's not concerned about his snap total. Now, this is hot on the heels of everything coming out about how they're going to kind of try and find somebody to relieve him. They're going to lessen his total plays and therefore, obviously, his snap count. This is going to directly affect his fantasy value as well, because he was really good for fantasy last year because he missed, like, what they say, like all of, like, 5 plays or something. It was something crazy. And of course, that got him the number 3 fantasy finish at the running back position. So I ask you guys, and we've talked about this already. We think this is, for the most part, a pretty unsustainable pace for his size, frame, play style. All the news surrounding this, what do you think about this news from Christian McCaffrey? Because the coaching staff in the front office is telling us one thing, Christian McCaffrey is telling us the opposite.
I think for right now, I mean, you got to look at the team, just like we was talking about the quarterback rankings when we were mentioning about Cam Newton. You gotta look at the team, and right now he's basically the best show in town. You know, outside of Cam's not gonna be doing a whole bunch of running. He's gonna be doing the dink and dunk, and Christian McCaffrey's gonna be the guy to be able to cash in on that. So they can say all they want as for the coaching staff, and you know, we still got the draft going on, so they can still be able to make adjustments there. But as it stands right now, I just gotta go off and look at the team and see what the skill sets are and see who's the talent. And the best talent that's going to be able to move this offense is Christian McCaffrey. So I'm not truly that concerned on, you know, his snap total, because I think, you know, as he continues to grow NFL, he's going to continue to keep mature and get his body right and keep his body ready. He's probably going to continue to get those touches.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's thinking, because I haven't been able to actually listen to the interview. Or if there was any recording on it, I just saw the quote. Now I'm wondering if he's maybe excited that he's gonna maybe get to rest more. I don't even know. It all depends on context. But I'm a firm believer that what we saw last year, we're not gonna see in 2019. I just don't think he's got. I mean, he has it in him, clearly. He did it. He's a young guy, but I think that they got lucky, honestly, that he didn't get injured at some point with how much they used him. And we know, coming out of college that and in his early career, he's not really that north-south guy, but they were using him for every play. So I don't know, but like you said, Cam Newton, they're desperately trying to get him, their franchise player, to stop running the ball so much, which he did, again, a lot last year. So I don't know, Jason, do you have anything you want to add before we move on?
Yeah, I kind of agree with CJ. I mean, they can say that, but everybody's plan changes when you actually come in contact with the other team. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, because again, it's not like he ran the ball an astronomical amount of times. He didn't get like 300 rushing attempts. He only had 200, but he caught the ball 100 times. He was out there for every snap. I think they're going to want to spell him at least a little bit. I don't know. But then again, he's going to be 23 at the beginning of the year. He's still a really young guy. We'll see how it plays out. Moving on to the wide receiver position, the New York Giants are finalizing an extension with wide receiver Sterling Shepard, reportedly for a 4-year, $41 million deal. So extending the guy, and Sterling Shepard gets a deal that's honestly better than what a lot of the free agents got just to stay in New York. So this is interesting. I guess New York thought this was probably the time to do it before a potential breakout year with more volume, and they'd have to pay him more. So on one hand, probably a smart move. On the other hand, the Giants are kind of capping their ability to make moves, but I don't think there's that many guys they're actively pursuing right now. So I don't know. CJ, this is your division. Let's start with you. What are your thoughts on this?
Overpaid.
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 All right.
Why would you pay so much for I don't a B minus second receiver at most.
Wow.
I mean, I can't, I don't get it. But you know what? It is my division. You know, Giants, go for it. Go for it, man. If you saw it, you see the talent there. You wanna lock down that number 2 receiver in your offense. Go ahead and lock him down, man.
This
Lock
is a
him up.
guy with 66 receptions last year, 872 yards, and 4 receiving touchdowns.
Lock him up. You gotta pay that money. You got to. You don't want that talent running out, walking out the door.
That's not.
You got to do that.
It's not great production. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Obviously, his rookie year when Odell and everybody was hurt around him, 65 receptions, so 1 less, 683 yards, less yardage, but 8 touchdowns, and that's what everybody was pretty high on going to his sophomore year, and he hasn't come close to that. In fact, the next year only got 2. So I don't know. I feel like probably what we saw last year is pretty much what we can expect out of him, except for, of course, the wild card that Odell's not there anymore. They bring in Golden Tate, however, but Golden Tate's no Odell Beckham, so I don't know. It's interesting. Jason, what are your thoughts?
I think they should have waited to sign him to a deal. I mean, this is going to be the year. This is going to be the year you're going to find out what you got in this guy for real, because you got no more Odell Beckham Jr., as you mentioned. So he's going to have to be the guy for now. Golden Tate, yeah, Golden Tate's there, but you know what? Sterling Shepard understands that offense more than Golden Tate does, so they're going to lean on him a little bit more. You wait until he has that breakout year, then you pay him for that breakout year. But what they're doing is they're putting their money ahead of time. If he has a bad year, you just wasted a lot of money.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I mean, if he does have that breakout year and what they believe clearly that he's capable of comes to pass, they're going to have to pay probably twice as much. So, I mean, it's a gamble, definitely. And we haven't seen the contract, so we don't know how much guaranteed money there is, obviously. But you have to imagine there's going to be at least a decent amount. So I feel like
I'd be much happier paying after the fact, knowing that I did get somebody that is going to, fulfill their potential. Oh, I got to pay a little bit more money, but you know what? At least I know that I'm getting a product.
I mean, that's fair, but I mean, if they're right, they save money. I bet when we see the contract, it's going to be probably pretty front loaded, and if it doesn't work out, they'll probably be able to get away from it relatively early on. So I don't know, we'll see. Obviously, details aren't free yet, or public yet, I should say. So we'll let you know when we know more. Other interesting news at the wide receiver position: unrestricted free agent wide receiver Demaryius Thomas visited with the New England Patriots. Reportedly, it went well. Obviously, was not signed to a deal, but this is something to monitor because this is very Patriots-esque to get a guy who most are perceiving to be over the hill, but has a track record of being very productive and possibly getting another good year or 2 out of them. Obviously, Demaryius Thomas is coming back from injury, but I could see the Patriots doing this. They're desperately trying to retool on offense. They don't really have much at the moment. So, I don't know. I think Demaryius Thomas probably walks in there, and he's going to be one of their probably 2 starters. I think he will supplant Philip Dorsett on the outside, probably him and Edelman. Edelman most likely in the slot. So, I don't know. It makes sense. I'll say that. So, I don't know. Do you think this is something that gets done, or do you think this is just the Patriots doing their due diligence?
Due diligence.
Jason?
I can see this getting done. I mean, like you said, this is a very New England Patriots maneuver. He walks in, he's automatically one of their best receivers. So I think it gets done.
Yep, over the hill, coming off injury. Definitely one of their best receivers. I have full faith that that's what he would be on that team right now. Staying in New England, they did, however, sign unrestricted free agent tight end Austin Seferian-Jenkins. So trying to fill that void left by Rob Gronkowski. So I mean, Austin Seferian-Jenkins easily, to me, comes in as the starting tight end for them. I guess the question really is, does Austin Seferian-Jenkins have any fantasy value here? We've seen lots of flashes, nothing consistent, but he's going to a team that has featured a tight end for the last decade. Not to say that he's any Rob Gronkowski, of course, but I don't know. Jason, what do you think?
I think so, because you're talking about a quarterback that has now throwing short passes and seam passes and things like that all the time, and that's right where Austin Seferian-Jenkins lives. So I think he does have some value there. As far as is he going to be an elite tight end this year? No, I don't think so. But I think he's going to be productive.
CJ?
I think he can be a sleeper guy for you. I mean, I want to be in on him, but it just with recent history of what he's been doing in the league and then those injuries, it's kind of a lot of bad taste in a lot of people's mouths because people, when he went to Jaguars, they expect him to blow up there. I mean, they had a need. He was the talent. He was supposed to go in. There was no other competition around him, and he just didn't really live up to that value. So yes, you're going to a great place where they feature the tight end. You got a quarterback that's going to be able to feed and feature you. Now it's just about, can he stay healthy and can everything come together? So I mean, at the end of the day, if you're drafting him, I think he can be a real late guy that you can be able to pick up, and he's got a high upside. But I just err on the side of caution because we really haven't seen him really blow up and do anything since he was playing with the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, I think this gets done as well. I think he's definitely their week 1 starter. I of course, we threw you guys mentioned his Jet season. He went in there. We thought this was going to be potentially a good fit. I mean, a nice upgrade, a weapon, and probably their best red zone option. Nothing worked for the Jags last year, and that all kind of circulated by the fact that they always say they want to run the ball. If they can run the ball every play, they would. And Leonard Fournette went down early, and then they had no running game, so they were kind of scrambling. I think that he's going to have potential. I don't see him being probably one of my top 12 tight ends, though. I'll put that out there. He's definitely going to be a waiver wire guy, maybe a late round flyer, and a guy that maybe you'll have something there. Because I'm looking at I don't know if have you guys started your tight end rankings yet? Because I'm looking at my rankings, and towards the bottom of my tight end ones, I've got guys like, I mean, a lot of upside, but kind of like the David Njoku, Delaney Walker, Jimmy Graham range, and then I would probably slide him in right around there. Because I'm high on Jimmy Graham, but we just don't know, so I'm kind of hedging my bets there and pushing him down. That puts him around tight end 13 for me, 14 for me. Does that sound about right for you guys?
Austin Seferian-Jenkins?
Yeah. Well outside of a starting tight end 1, but
honestly, that position group is such a dumpster fire. I haven't started sifting through the rubble yet. And once I do, then maybe. But right now, I mean, the talent is so bad and usage is so bad that it could be he could be 13th, he could be 25th. I don't know.
Fair enough. All right. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it in about a week. So, all right. Last bit of news, staying with the Patriots as well. They also re-signed place kicker Stephen Gostkowski. We were just talking about this last show. They re-signed him to a 2-year deal, and so they get old reliable back in the house. For a long time was the best kicker in fantasy, going back like 4 or 5 years now. But a guy who we saw a notable decline. I mean, his leg strength seems to be slowly fading right now. So, interesting signing. I guess they probably couldn't find anyone they like better, somebody who knows the offense and the team, and they like the guy, so they brought him back, not on a 1, but a 2-year deal. So, I mean, good for him. I don't know if he's going to be with the team next year, but he got that contract, and a big name stays with the Patriots. So with that, let's move on to why we are all here. Our topic of the day. This is our early consensus running back rankings, and we'll start at the top of the list. And again, we're going to try and hit the top 12, our number ones, pretty hard, and then we'll just probably rapid fire through the next few, some hot takes, things of that nature. But at the top, this shouldn't surprise any of you. This is a guy who's going top 2 in basically every list that I'm seeing, most analytics, top 3 for sure, and that is uniform number 1 for all of us, New York Giants running back Saquon Barkley. Now, I think that this is a razor-thin margin between him and the next guy. I wouldn't fault you for either one, but we all unanimously have him at our number 1 spot. I think this is because we saw a lot in his rookie year. We expect him to probably take another step with a full offseason and, being able to, have all the adjustments made to the NFL level. And one of their biggest targets is now gone, and he catches the ball. So there's a lot of things to like about Saquon because, I mean, obviously, losing Odell hurts the offense. They might not be in scoring position as much, but this is a guy who's going to get the ball no matter what. If they're behind, if they're in the lead, he's got no competition for touches at all. I really like him. What say you, CJ? We'll start with you. This is your division.
Saquon, man, he's a beast, man. I mean, boy came out of the rookie year, phenomenal season. He proved and showed to everybody as far as like going forward that this guy is going to be a future Hall of Famer. He's going to be a headache in my division for a lot of years, as long as he wants to continue to play, as long as the Giants can be able to keep him on the roster. And I think that Shermer has definitely seen and had to open his eyes and let him know, hey, look, there's adjustments we definitely made to the roster as far as trading Odell and now bringing in Golden Tate to, I guess presumed to get that number one spot. So who's going to be the focal point to this offense? Who are we building this team around? And Saquon did it. I mean, he showed the leadership last year, just being a rookie to be able to come in and be able to make a great presence in the locker room and not only on the field. So I agree with you, what you're saying. Another year experience coming into the league, coming into the system with other people departures going on. He should be able to take on a bigger load. Hopefully, he continues to keep that up, because there was times last year where Shermer, for some reason, will go away from him. There's no explicable good reason. They would just stop it. He's dominant, and then all of a sudden they just cut it off. They're like, okay, you're doing too good. We're just gonna stop you right here. No, you want him to do good so you can win the game. So that, I guess that they were working this out for whatever plan they're gonna do in the draft. But he's phenomenal, man.
Yeah. Jason?
Yeah, I mean he's the offense there now. Like we said, he's the linchpin. He's what everything's going to go through, with how the offense is going to flow. So he's going to touch that ball as much as they can possibly get it in his hands.
Yeah, I mean, and this is where we get to the next guy on our list, of course, Ezekiel Elliott. Spoiler alert. We all unanimously have him at our number 2 spot. We don't start getting any variance until number 3, which we'll get there. But yeah, Ezekiel Elliott, he's got the track record. And that's what a lot of people are going to weigh against Saquon Barkley. And if you want to go with Ezekiel Elliott, more power to you. But the thing that stood out, I think, for all of us here, again, is the passing down usage. Now, 91 receptions, 4 receiving touchdowns in his rookie year, to pair with 261 rushing attempts, 1,300 yards, and 11 rushing touchdowns, averaging 5 yards per carry. So he had more receptions, he had a higher average rushing than Ezekiel Elliott did, and he had more rushing touchdowns. I mean, obviously the Dallas Cowboys offense was not very good last year, but I mean, you could make the same argument for the Giants. So I mean, I like Saquon to continue with the trend, but Ezekiel Elliott, talking about him now, he went from 26 receptions, 32 his rookie year, 26 his sophomore year, to 77 receptions last year. They finally realized we have a receiving weapon in Ezekiel Elliott. We all knew he could catch the ball, but the Cowboys seemingly refused to use him that way. Well, finally, they're using him that way, and that's why, for me, he is a guaranteed top 2 guy, and he has basically no question marks for me. And also, the Cowboys, a much better offense this season. We talked all about last year how they were going to be one of the worst offenses in the league. They lost Dez Bryant, and we were always joking, you know what team could really use Dez Bryant? The Cowboys could. Well, they end up going out and trading right towards the end of the trade period of the season. They acquire Amari Cooper. Worked out really, really well for them. Michael Gallup, I think, taking another step forward. Randall Cobb coming in to be their slot receiver. And then behind them, Allen Hurns, Tavon Austin, both guys who are not necessarily guys you want to write home about, but decent backups. And then obviously Jason Witten comes out of retirement. I'm not necessarily buying too much into that, but that's an upgrade over what they had there last year. Zeke's there, Dak Prescott's there. The offensive line pretty much stayed the same. So I really like the Cowboys, and that's why I could see a world where Zeke goes ahead of Saquon, because it's a comfort pick at that point. So again, this is your division, CJ, so going back to you, Zeke, we all have him at 2. Why do we have him at 2, and what are your thoughts on him season long?
I think that we have him at 2, everything that you said, as far as like you see the numbers, you see the history, you see the trends going upward, and you see that right now, when we were talking a little bit before the show started, the only thing right now I can see that can make in this situation even better than what's going on, because Dak Prescott needs Ezekiel Elliott to be dominant, so he takes the pressures off of him, and he can be able to throw and be be great what he is. I think right now, behind the scenes, I think the Cowboys right now, they want to be able to work on Dak Prescott's contract. So for that to happen, Zeke has to go out there and ball out, and he has to take the road off of him. So what they're going to do, they're going to continue to run the ball. That's what they love to do. That's what they need to do to get this offense going. And then Dak Prescott can be able to throw a couple passes, and then he be a pretty boy, and he get his contract. Whatever. It's just the name of the game. But they need to get an offensive line. They need to improve that. They had a couple key pieces that went out, some due to illnesses, which was, something that they had no control over. But you got to be able to continue to help themselves. I think they have solid pieces on the outside that were rookies that they brought in that matured and growed into the offense. But I think they need to continue to solidify that because they're so strapped at the cap. They can't really go get anybody still until they get that right. So I think they need to continue to improve the offensive line. If they continue to do that, Zeke is going to put up better numbers.
I mean, it's crazy because you go back to, you talk about the line and everything. You go back to, what was it, 2014, where they were like the most like historically dominant offensive line.
So
like
good.
Nobody could get to the quarterback. They could pass protect all day. They could run the ball wherever they wanted. Amazing offensive line. Yeah, and now they were. Anybody want to guess where they placed last year? If you had to just throw a random number out there based on without looking into the analytics.
17th.
17th, Jason.
21st.
They were a little bit better than that. They were 14th, so very much middle of the pack. But that's terrible for an offensive line that was, like, again, historic just a few years ago. So now we go into 2019, and there's only 2 of those guys that are actually still with the offensive line. Like I said, they were decent last year. They didn't really lose any pieces from last year to this year. Hopefully that consistency will help them grow. But this team, they need to be more consistent, productive. And I think having all these passing options now will they're not going to just blitz the quarterback every play. They're going to have to, I mean, they're obviously spying Zeke every play, but that's what they were doing, though. They were dumping the ball off to him, and that's why he got so much work in the passing game, because they were going after Dak. Really, I think that Ezekiel Elliott, he's going to obviously be uncontested for rushes. I think they realize they have something in him in a passing game, and I really, really like Ezekiel Elliott going forward. And I honestly, if you take him with a number 1 pick, I wouldn't fault you for it at all, because we see positive trends and he has a longer track record of being this productive guy than Saquon. He did it 1 year. We've seen plenty of these one-hit wonders. I don't think any of us would say that that's ever going to be Saquon based on what we've seen. I think we all think he's got a fantastic career ahead of him. I'd say he's a better talent than Zeke, honestly. But you can make that argument. Better offense, more consistency, or longer track record, I should say. Zeke could be the number 1. He's just not for us. Jason, anything you want to add?
Pretty much covered most of it with this one.
All right.
He's the guy.
All right, let's move on. The next guy on our list, pretty universally, you'll see these top 3 guys as the consensus 3 in a lot of places. Todd Gurley. Now, you're probably surprised you didn't hear Todd Gurley's name at number 1. He was by far the number 1 running back each of the last 2 seasons, pretty much uncontestedly. Well, Jason and I both have him at 4. CJ, you still have him at 3. So we'll throw it to you first. But why is Todd Gurley not only not number 1 overall, but almost outside of our top 3?
Well, for me, it's like this. I mean, the injury concern that is something that to be aware of. That's something that did come across my mind. So I felt like when I was doing my list, the furthest I can be able to have him go before we get to the next guy, and I feel good and comfortable about that, was 3. That's the furthest I can be able to go, was 3. I feel like it's still, at the end of the day, it's still early for whatever procedures that he needs that got going on that we talked about a couple shows ago, that he can still be able to get that done, and he can be healed up, ready for camp, and ready for the season to get that going. I know that they're probably going to go get another back in this draft to be able to spell him, to take the pressure off him. But I still feel like he's going to be effective and dominant in this offense. I mean, with Sean McVay, this is his guy. This is his baby. I mean, between Jared Goff and Todd Gurley, those are his children right there. And he's going to make sure both of them eat. I still feel like Todd Gurley is still going to be a good back in this league. I don't see that much of a drop off. There's going to be a drop off, but I don't think it's going to be that detrimental where he's going to be looked at as a running back 2. I still feel like he's going to put up running back 1 numbers. And for the rest of those guys that's underneath this list, they have basically all year to be able to prove me wrong. and they can be able to raise up. But as it stands right now, I still respectively got to put Todd Gurley 3.
It's funny because again, Jason and I are lower. One spot razor thin here, but if people aren't paying, if you're not listening to this podcast or similar source of information right now, most people are going to take Todd Gurley number 1 overall. And the reasoning, it's right there. It's right in front of you. 2 years of him being this unbelievably productive back. In fact, he was on pace to crush his unbelievable 2017, but he missed the last 2 games. He only played in 14 games. He was on pace to break his attempts per game. Obviously with that, his yards, his average yards, he went from 4.7 to 4.9 last year. His touchdowns went from 13 to 17 rushing. He was just as productive in the passing game. He is consistent. He was amazing. If he played 16 games, would have beat his record the previous year. But there it is. He didn't play the last 2 games, and it's just so much mystery surrounding him. And I feel like a broken record. We talk about this every week, so this will probably be the last time we talk about it, hopefully for at least a couple shows. But again, C.J. Anderson came in. Todd Gurley they claimed that he was healthy, especially in the playoffs. Todd Gurley never really got the ball, and when he did get the ball, he did not really look like the same player. Now, we still don't know anything. They haven't told us what the injury is, and all we're hearing is, all these whispers and he's got arthritis. The knee's not right. He needs stem cell treatments, which is never a good thing. I mean, there's all these questions, and of course, the insane workload. He would have averaged close to 300 carries each of the last 3 seasons if he played a full season, which the only year, also something that's concerning, the only year he's ever played a full season was 2016, his sophomore year. Obviously coming into the league injured his rookie year 2015, then missed time 17 and 18. So there's a lot of question marks around this guy who I think if he was 100% out there and healthy, we'd all probably have penciled in, and if none of this happened, he'd be our number 1. I mean, workload, wear and tear would be a concern, but he had given us really no reason to doubt it, except for the fact that now we just don't know what's going on. Jason, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, it really is risk mitigation in this situation, because like we said, we saw what happened in the Super Bowl. We saw what happened with him at the end. And why is C.J. Anderson even a thing? Why? You've got the best running back pretty much in football this year. Why in the world? Because he's hurt, and all this stuff is something that you have to take into account when you're doing this. And that's why he's down at 4. Again, as Griffin said, he'd be either number 1 or number 2 for me. If we were not worried about his injury. And the fact that he's still sitting at number 4 on my list shows the great respect that I have for the guy.
Yeah, we don't know what to expect from him. Of course, they didn't re-sign C.J. Anderson, which we took as a good thing. But now we're hearing all these rumors about how they're going to go out. They're going to probably draft, possibly high, a backup. Malcolm Brown's there. He was offered a contract. The Rams matched that contract, so they're able to retain him. So that's interesting. I mean, they like the guy. He's in-house. He knows the system. That's probably what it is more than anything. But if they go out and they draft a guy high, you have to worry about Todd Gurley. It's all risk mitigation, like Jason said. We just don't know. The team's not telling us. Nobody seems to really know, and all we are hearing are bad things at this point. So yeah, Todd Gurley, top running back the last couple of years, number 3 for us consensus because of concerns. And honestly, I think in a lot of analyst rankings, you might start seeing him drop further than that. If healthy, probably the number 1 guy, easily those top 3 guys in their own tier if Todd Gurley was healthy. But this other guy sneaks his way in there, and this is a guy that I'm shocked that I'm the highest on. Why am I the highest on this guy? This is your guy, CJ. Alvin Kamara. Yeah, you've been the highest on Alvin Kamara, for at least the last 2 seasons. I have him at 3, CJ at 4, Jason has him down at 5, and who wants to start us off here? I mean, I guess.
I mean, you're the highest, so you should go.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. So I'll start off. I have him at 3, and that's because mostly, I mean, besides the fact that he's been amazing, he's by himself now. I do not expect Mark Ingram to be placed, but in any way, shape, or form by Latavius Murray. Murray's going to be just even more so the change of pace guy. He's going to be a north-south short yardage back, maybe used in the red zone. But Alvin Kamara is going to be heavily used Christian McCaffrey style, all types of passing plays, run plays, the ways he always has been creatively in space. The Saints are one of the top running teams in the league the last couple of years, and this is a team that also they can't stack the box against because Drew Brees. Despite any regression we may have seen, it's still Drew Brees. He's going to command respect. We already talked about how Michael Thomas is there. Traquan Smith really showed signs of real potential last season, especially late. They have Ted Ginn there as well, Cameron Meredith, who they've got faith in. They just signed Jared Cook, which we know is a productive tight end. Alvin Kamara, this offense is going to move. It's going to basically, he's the focal point. It's going to move through him for the most part, especially anything on the ground, short dump offs, everything's going to him. The ceiling is easily here, and I think that his floor is much raised with Mark Ingram now leaving for Baltimore. So it's really all of that, plus my concerns for Todd Gurley, which places him at 3 for me instead of probably 4th. I can't imagine me going much lower than 5th with him. Jason, you're the lowest, so let's jump to you. Why 5th?
Well, I mean, really, it's just about the people that I put over him, really more than anything else. We're going to be talking about a guy here in a few minutes that I'm probably going to move down the list, which is definitely going to move Kamara up the list. But as you said, there are a lot of weapons in this offense. Kamara's going to get his fair share. He's going to more than his fair share probably. But I do expect there to be a lot of passing going on in this, which is good for Kamara. He does catch the ball out of the backfield. So that's why I have him up in my top 5. Like I said, at the close of the show, I'll probably just go ahead and nudge him up a spot after I move the other guy.
Yeah, these rankings are a living, breathing thing. I mean, he finished 4th last year, and when Mark Ingram wasn't there, he was really productive. Look at his week 1. We thought that he was going to, because we were preaching caution. We thought we were all wrong. He went out for 29 yards rushing, 2 rushing touchdowns, 112 yards receiving, and a 3rd touchdown receiving that one. So 34 fantasy points. Yeah, I mean, he had multiple 30-point games when Mark Ingram was out. Mark Ingram's not there anymore. I think it's safe to assume he's going to get a lot of volume and work. CJ, obviously, split the difference. Anything you want to add?
Man, look, I just think that he's going to be, just like you guys said, he's going to get the workload. Another year in the system, and I think Sean Payton is going to really try to get even more creative and try to get him even more into this offense now with Ingram being gone. So I feel like they're going to get another back in there just so they don't overdo it. But I still think that he's definitely going to be productive and be that guy in this offense.
Yeah, it's amazing how once you get outside the top 2, the narrative gets a little bit murky. Because, for instance, our number 6 consensus guy is a guy that I easily think should be the number 4 guy and was one of, if not the most productive back at times last year, but injuries derail things. But we'll get there. Because after Alvin Kamara, we have Christian McCaffrey. Now, Christian McCaffrey, I have him at 7th. I'm the lowest. And we kind of talked about him in the news already, so we'll just kind of really quickly recap. I'm at 7th. CJ, I'm surprised you have him at 6th. I'm surprised you're that low on him. Jason, shockingly high at 3. Jason, why so high on him?
Yeah, again.
Loves him. Loves McCaffrey.
He loves him some McCaffrey. The evidence is right in front of us.
Loves him so much.
He never came off the field, right?
He's Jason's hero.
The bottom line is, what else do they got in this offense? You know what I mean? He's sort of the whole show in this offense right now. So, where else are they going to go with the ball? And like you said, they're going to try, and I use the term try, to keep Cam Newton from running the ball every single down. And in order to do that, they're going to have to give the ball to Christian McCaffrey. So he is the offense, basically, which is why I have him up at 3. He's going to get incredible volume. Chances are they're going to go out and get somebody to spell him, like we talked about, which would be a very smart move because he is a smaller back. There's only so much punishment he's going to be able to take. So that's why I have him up at 3. I just feel like he's going to get a heck of a lot of volume.
Fair enough. CJ, what are your thoughts?
Same here too, man. I think Norv Turner is going to get more creative to be able to get this guy the ball, in the backfield, in the slot. Just try to do more things to be able to get this guy involved and protect Cam Newton. And if Cam is smart, he will do it, man. That's going to preserve and prolong his career more.
Yeah, I mean, again, you guys kind of hit on all the things, and like we said, we're hearing the narrative. They want to spell him more. They don't want him on the field as much. They don't want him to get injured. They want him to stay fresh as long as possible, but they've got really nothing behind him, and what they have behind him is mostly untested because he was in for basically every play last year. Running, passing, didn't matter. Greg Olsen, obviously, we know what happened with him. DJ Moore is still there, which is, nice and all, but he's really the only wide receiver they have now that Devin Funchess has moved on. That's not good. I guess Jarius Wright would be their number 2 right now, if I had to guess.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh.
Or maybe Torrey Smith. No?
No.
Stop it.
No?
Stop it.
Hey, the man has 2 Super Bowl rings, is all I'm saying.
He does.
He does.
He does.
He does. So I don't know. Cam Newton, we've seen it year in and year out. They always want him to become more of a pocket passer. He really can't do it. He starts running, and then everything breaks down, and maybe he then keeps finding an open in space Christian McCaffrey. I mean, we all think, obviously, the ceiling is there. We all have him relatively high. Not in our top tier elite, 1 and 2, but in this next conversation, he's 5 for us consensus overall. I don't think you're going wrong with him, but as of this point, pre the draft, we know that they're going to do something. We just don't know what it is, and that's going to really affect his draft stock to me, and I'm expecting the move to be something at the running back position, so that's why I think I've preemptively moved him down to 7, even though he finished as high as he did last year at, what was it, number 3 overall, I think it was. So, great year. Congratulations. I'm expecting a slight regression back to the norm, but not much of one, clearly. Let's move on. The next guy on our list is a guy who, again, I want him to be my number 4 running back, and I think you can make an argument for him being in that 3-4 spot, even pushing into that top elite tier, and that is Melvin Gordon. That disgusts me to say that, because this is a guy, again.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
No, it does, because remember, going back to his rookie sophomore year, I statistically went after this guy and was trying to preach to everybody why you should never ever draft Melvin Gordon, why you should, if you have him, you should trade him as soon as he did something good, because as much volume as this guy was getting, he was getting you fantasy points, but his points per play, his volume, his production, his yards, all of it was just absolute garbage. And remember, coming off his rookie year where he got you 0 touchdowns. But last 2 years,
what happened?
Man, last year I bought in. He was a guy. Look, this is a guy who averaged you under 4 yards a carry before last year. All right, that's not good. But
people grow. People mature.
People grow.
People look at football and it starts to slow down.
That's what's happening. It's slowing down for him. What happened. Clearly something happened. He's a part of a great offense with a lot of weapons, and he is used very consistently. He is in every play because he is also a pass catcher. I mean, last year he played in 12 games and he caught 50 receptions, which is a lot for a running back, especially missing a quarter of the season. So he was on pace to get up to the 70-plus range. 4 touchdowns in that time receiving. Also, add to that, in 12 games, 5.1 yards per carry for 885 yards and 10 rushing touchdowns. He was on an amazing pace in 12 games. But that's where we have to be concerned. He's only played a full 16 once his entire career in 4 years. Pretty decent sample size. You have to assume he's going to miss probably 1 or 2 games. Maybe he's going to play banged up. And that, I think, alone is why we're a little bit concerned about it. Now, I have him at 5th. CJ, you're right there tied with me at 5th. So we both agree he's got the potential. I think these other guys maybe edge him out just a little bit because they haven't been as much of an injury risk through their careers to this point. But I mean, I would not be mad at you, honestly, if your list looked like Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, Melvin Gordon, Todd Gurley. I honestly wouldn't be mad at that. But I think we're being a little bit hesitant, both you and I having him at 5, but Jason all the way down at 8. So Jason, I'm curious, are you just really trying to be cautious here? Do you think that there's going to be an overturn? Do you think that things are changing? Why 8th for Melvin Gordon?
It's more caution than anything else.
Okay.
It's just the injuries, the banged upness, and the fact that he has been inconsistent in the past. And he's finally starting to pick up. But there are a lot of weapons in this offense, and I expect him to stay on pace, hopefully, and he'll probably move up my list as we get closer and they start adding pieces and we start seeing how the draft susses everything out. At the moment, it's just really pure risk mitigation. Yeah,
it just amazes me how he was on pace to break basically all of his records, and he did it in 12 games. On less attempts per game. So he figured something out. This offense was working. So I really like Melvin Gordon. Again, I don't blame you for having him down that low because injuries have been a concern. But ceiling is there too. So this is where, again, it starts getting interesting that quickly. Next guy on our list, we're kind of split on as well. I'm the highest. This is Pittsburgh Steelers' new full-time starting running back, James Conner. I'm at 6, CJ at 7, Jason down at 9. So, Jason, Why so low on James Conner, a guy who is running behind what was ranked as the best offensive line last year, has the full workload, a full offseason to prepare, and obviously a guy that they're going to lean on consistently because we've seen this with or without Le'Veon Bell. They feature one running back, one of a few teams anywhere that does this still.
Mm-hmm. The main reason is because this offense is going to look much different than it did last year. No Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown was a massive part of this offense. He got a massive part of the workload. A lot of passes went his direction, lots of volume, and that opened up a lot of running lanes. Now, I love Juju Smith-Schuster, but he's kind of a two-man show with Antonio Brown, and now you've only got the one. So I think that kind of diminishes James Conner a little bit, doesn't give him the running lanes that he would normally have. So that's why I brought him down. Again, depending on what happens in the draft, this is all going to change.
Right. CJ, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, first of all, I just looked at James Conner last year. I mean, phenomenal. There was a lot of concerns and questions. Can he be able to shoulder that load? And I felt that he proved it going into this year. You got the two new stars now, two young kids connected to Ben Roethlisberger with Juju and James. I feel like they know they need to make an improvement of the wide receivers to be able to help out Juju, and that's going to help out James as well. I mean, they already have a good offensive line, so I don't really know not much they can do there, but just staying healthy. And now with another year in the system for James Conner and the other year experience at being that guy, I feel that he's able to grow and be able to add on to that. So that's why I have him projected. For me, I have him ranked 7th in my draft.
Yeah,
in my rankings.
I might be too high on him. I will say that. But I also know everything that I've said is going to come to pass. He's going to be a focal point of this offense. They're going to lean on him heavily because the passing game is not going to be as productive. They have a really good run-blocking offensive line. And this is a guy that, again, is in an offense that's going to feature the running back regardless of who it is. And he happens to be very talented. Now, the concerns on why I think I might be too high on him. Obviously, downgrades in the pass catching. So they're not going to have to respect the passing game quite as much. But they're still going to have to. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Juju is there. He's no Antonio Brown to me, but still a very good player. We know he has kind of that 1A potential. Can he be a true number one? Time will tell. James Washington, they're number 2 right now. Okay, that's a number 2. But also, Vance McDonald's there, somebody they're going to have to respect. Ben Roethlisberger is going to make plays. These are all the reasons that they're going to have to at least pay attention to the passing game. But also, my big concern is that he's been in the league for 2 years now, and in 2 years, he has not finished the season. Last year, he missed 3 games. The year before that, he missed 2 games. So trending the wrong way there. But consistent, he averaged 4.5 yards per carry both seasons. And exciting, in 13 games, he had almost 1,000 yards, almost 17 attempts per game rushing, 12 touchdowns on the ground. He also had a receiving touchdown, but he was used pretty heavily in the passing game in between the 20s. He had 55 receptions for 500 yards as well. So this is a guy that's going to get you volume. Clearly he's used for touchdowns. The question really is the offense. How is it going to work out? How much of a ceiling can we really expect out of James Conner? Because I think we know what the floor really can be, but the ceiling is kind of the question right now. And I like his potential to be maybe in that upper elite tier of guys. Now, realistically, he's probably safer to be in that back half of the first number of your RB1s, probably in that 7 to 12 range. But I have him at 6. Might be a little bit high on him, but I know the situation. I know he's going to be used a lot. Do you guys have anything you want to add before we move on? No? All right. Let's shake our heads in an audio medium. I like it. All right, moving on to the next guy on our list. A guy who has been the number 1 for us overall plenty of times before, and we talked about him earlier, and that is David Johnson. Now, no shock, a little bit of homer here, but we all have our homer. Well, you guys both have your homer moments. I'm always down on my team. David Johnson, number 6 for Jason, highest by a decent margin. I'm at 8th, CJ at 9. Jason, your team, your player, tell me why David Johnson deserves to be 6 or why he should be even higher.
Well, the offense is going to be much different than it was last year. It's going to be a much more high-powered offense, a lot more creative, a lot more up right in David Johnson's wheelhouse, because that's what he does. He splits out wide. He can go to the slot. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can just run the ball. They're going to use him all over the field. They've improved already the offensive line this year. They brought in J.R. Sweezy and Marcus Gilbert, which automatically improves that offensive line. They're going to address the offensive line more than likely in the draft. But even as it stands right now, you're already looking at a much improved offense, and that defense is much more improved. So the offense is going to be on the field a lot more than it was last year. Defense is going to be off the field a lot more than it was last year. David Johnson is going to be the focal point of this offense moving forward, regardless of who the quarterback ends up being. So I see David Johnson taking a massive step forward from where he was last year.
CJ, what are your thoughts? You're the lowest.
I am the lowest because look, I respect David Johnson and I kept him in the top 10, but I'm still concerned because this offense is still new. There's still a lot of concerns. I mean, well, for me, there's a lot of questions on what the quarterback situation is going to be. I'm still not sold on this new coach. So this is a lot of stuff, a lot of new pieces, a lot of too much new. You know, like I'm like Stewie off a Family Guy when they took a piece of this out of the house. You know, I don't like change. I don't like it. There's too much change going for me with Arizona right now for me to be able to buy in. So I still respect the man. I still respect his talent. I respect him coming back from that injury and be able to, you know, just go out there and try his best last year, because that's exactly all he could do last year was just try his best. And I kept him in the top 10, top 9 as my 9th running back. But he has the potential. He has the potential for all of this to switch around and this be a high power offense with him being the focal point.
You know, the dumpster fire that was the Cardinals last year, still David Johnson finished as the RB10 for fantasy. Now, I mean, obviously he's about 120 some odd points behind the leader, but that's something that I think he can make up in a much better offense, and we've been kind of pointing this out. Like, people are going to sleep on him. A lot of people are going to fall into into CJ's range or lower. I want him to be higher in my rankings than he is now, and realistically, he probably will be in another week or two. I want to see what they do offensive line-wise, and quarterback-wise, and once I see all that, I'll be able to more accurately make adjustments for David Johnson. But look, this is a guy that, look, everybody was making the arguments on why you shouldn't take him high last year. New offensive system, which is what's happening this year. To be fair, I think this offensive system is going to fit what he does better. And then the 2 years before that both ended with injury, but not real injuries. He had his knee tweaked in 2016 in week 17, his final game of the year, the 16th outing. He missed the second half of that game. Big deal. He was fine a couple days later. Then week 1 of 2017 goes out, tweaks his wrist, and then they put him on IR short term. He was ready to come back and play, but they figured this is one of our future he is our franchise player. Why bring him back and risk injury on what is already a lost season? So they shut him down. Last year, in lost year, he still went out there. He still went out and got you almost 250 rushing attempts, almost 1,000 yards, 7 rushing touchdowns, add another 50 receptions for another almost 500 yards and 3 receiving touchdowns. And so that's a pretty moderate, like lower end running back 1 performance, which is where he ended, and that's with what was going on all around him. Now, I think that this is going to be a better year for the Cardinals, offensively, scoring position-wise, his usage-wise. There's a lot of reasons to like David Johnson. I think he's a guy that can really push to finish the season as a top 3 running back, and you're going to be able to get him at a bargain. Now, could we be wrong? Sure, but I don't think we've seen enough evidence to believe that David Johnson has lost a step or anything. I think he's going to be a victim of the system he's in and his usage, but I think everything's pointing to be improved from just a year ago, where again he finished 10th overall. So I don't know, that's kind of where I think, and I feel like I'm too low on him, but I also feel like I'm kind of safe where he is right now. So do you guys have anything you want to add about David Johnson before we move on?
No, sir. I think we're good.
All right, so again, at your own will, at your own risk, guys. Next guy on our consensus rankings, a guy who is also no stranger to being the number 1 overall running back, and that is Le'Veon Bell. Now, I have him at 9, CJ at 10, Jason the highest at 7. So again, we'll start with you, Jason. Why are you higher than the rest of us on Le'Veon Bell?
No idea. Look, Le'Veon Bell is a phenomenal talent. I mean, he's right up there. For a while, there was several years where we were saying David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell. They were right there together. I have concerns with Le'Veon Bell because the offense that he is in now is much, much worse than the offense that he came from.
Yeah.
So that's the concern. The good thing is probably what painted me into this number 7 position that I have him in. is that he's going to get a lot of usage. I mean, they're going to use him. They're going to use him all over the field. They're going to get him the ball into his hands. He's the most exciting player they have on their team.
Right.
So they're gonna want him to touch the ball every single down if they could. So I think volume alone is going to help with that. And we've already seen that he can make plays. He is a playmaker. That's what he does. So I could definitely see him returning on this value.
CJ, the lowest. Tell me why.
Well, I'm concerned because I kind of feel like this is kind of like, see, every year a team does this where it mirrors. You have a little deja vu feeling about it, and right now I'm kind of feeling about this Jets offense deja vu of how the Cardinals were last year. They had a rookie quarterback and Josh Rosen in there, new head coach. Adam Gase is not a new head coach to the NFL, but I mean, as him coming in as the Jets head coach, that going on, and then you had a lot of supporting pieces around him. But Le'Veon Bell is going to be the focal point for every defensive coordinator that faces the Jets. We're going to shut down the run. We're going to shut down him down. Josh Rosen is going to have to win this game. Not Josh Rosen. Sam Darnold is going to have to win this game for us. Sam Darnold is going to have to win this game for us. So that's where I'm at right now. Look, I do feel like Le'Veon is going to get his touches. I do feel like Le'Veon is going to have an impact on this offense. I am just not right now sold on the total package of this offense, because that's what you're going to have to do when you draft this guy. You're going to have to think about the total package. It's not just one individual. Can he be able to go out there and do his thing? He's going to need supporting cast. Is the offensive line up to par? Which is not, because that boy Darnold was getting his head beat in last year. Are the receivers up to be able to play and get that role? Robert Anderson, yes. Quincy Enunwa, he wasn't healthy the rest of the season, but he can be a player. Chris Herndon can be a player as a tight end. So there's a lot of other pieces for me that comes in a factor when it comes to these running backs. It's definitely down when we get to this stage of it. We're getting down lower. So for me, look, I love me some Le'Veon. I think it's going to be great to have him back in the league. I'm just concerned about the environment that he's in. I don't really think he's in the best position to get for him to go back and to being as dominant as he was with Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So it's funny you point out the Cardinals, because we talk about like the downgrade that happened all around David Johnson, to the point that they went from being a pretty decent offensive line to the 32nd ranked offensive line last year. Well, Le'Veon Bell is going from the number 1 offensive line and a top offense in the league to the Jets, which are a lower echelon offense in the league, though they've added a lot of weapons, and himself included, and the 25th ranked offensive line. So it's a bad situation. Look, Le'Veon Bell, there's a lot of reasons to be concerned here. He missed an entire year of football. In his playing career, he's only ever played 1 full season. And yes, though this guy's no stranger to being our top elite guy, a top 3 guy in fantasy circles, he's going to see regression. I mean, he's another year older, though not old by any stretch of the imagination. He's going to be 27 he is 27. He's going to be 27 the whole season. He's going to be the focal point of the offense. We get all that. Young, developing Sam Darnold, which, for many, Jason included, was the top quarterback in the draft class last year, but downgrades all around him. Sam Darnold, at this point in his career, I would not say is on Ben Roethlisberger's level. The offensive line, not in the Steelers' level. The offensive weapons around him, Robbie Anderson, Quincy Enunwa, I would put either one of them on Juju Smith's level, much less Antonio Brown's. And they don't use their tight ends either, so it's not really anything worth mentioning. So this is a downgrade. The defense, they're spending a lot of money on trying to make that a lot better too, but I just don't think he's going to have the opportunity. He's going to be playing behind a worse line. He's not going to have the same holes in volume. There's a lot of reasons to be worried about Le'Veon Bell. And could this all work out and he kick it into high gear and be a really good running back for you down the stretch? Sure, but there's a very real reality that Le'Veon Bell in New York with the Jets will never be the same player that he was in Pittsburgh with the Steelers. So not to write him off again, 27-year-old back, one of the best backs in the league when healthy, but the circumstances around him for 2019, not super exciting. So that's kind of why I'm so low on him, and I think that's kind of the universal stance that most people are taking. So that's why he's our consensus number 9. And honestly, I'm pretty okay with that. So with that, I'm not just saying that because that's where I have him ranked. So let's move on to the next guy on our list, which is Joe Mixon. Now, we're consensus number 10. I have him at 10. CJ the highest at 8. Jason at 11. CJ, why so high on Joe Mixon? Oh, I say high, but the highest out of the 3 of us.
I like him because, first of all, he's a great running back. I think that last year, they had a lot of injuries, and he was definitely the shining star out of that offense, man. That was something to look for when you're looking at Bengals highlights. He was the guy that shined out with him and Terrell Williams. So I feel like, look, that you got a lot of pieces coming back. You got AJ Green coming back. You got a new head coach there that's supposed to be very offensive minded, so he can be able to scheme up some things. Get Andy Dalton to start playing better a little bit, and get him to get out of his head. Maybe we can get Andy Dalton to go back into form like he was many years ago when Tyler Arthur was a thing. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of upside. There's a lot of optimism going on. But I think the one secure thing you got right there is Joe Mixon, and that he's a great young running back, and you have an offensive line there that can probably improve just a little bit more. They already got some good pieces there, but if that continues to work, I feel like he's the best back there. I mean, he can catch the ball, he can run really well between the tackles on the outside. He got that breakaway speed, everything that you want out of running back. That's all I like at Joe Mixon.
Running behind the 27th ranked offensive line. Everybody's really concerned about Andy Dalton, the weapons around them, and yet I find myself really agreeing with you, CJ, because look, Zach Taylor, Brian Callahan, it's going to be an improvement. It's got to be. And this is a guy who, if you look at his stats from freshman to sophomore year, improved in every category. I mean, his attempts per game, his total yardage, his average yardage went from 3.5 to 4.9. Look, this is a guy, he went from 4 to 8 touchdowns. He doubled his touchdowns. And this is in a lost season where, everybody got hurt around him. They had no passing game at all. AJ Green down, Tyler Eifert down, Andy Dalton down. So, I mean, it's kind of amazing to see what he did. And I think that this is going to be probably a breakout year for him, honestly. Like, having him down this low is frustrating to me because I want him to be higher because I think that the ceiling is definitely there. And this is a guy, remember, when he was coming out in his draft class, most fantasy analysts and football analysts agreed this was the best running back in a very talented running back class. It's just because of off the field issues that he fell in the draft. So I really like Joe Mixon, his potential to be a very, very good player in fantasy. It's just the players around him and the question marks that he has kind of around, which is what they're doing. I'm sure once I watch the preseason, I'll watch game one. I'll fall in love with the game tape and be like, yep, he's my running back 6, and I'll be way overdrafting him. But the circumstances, I think, are there for him to finish around that range. So I don't know. I have him at 10 right now because I'm being a little bit cautious, but I think that he has that potential. Jason, what are your thoughts? You're the lowest.
Yeah. I'm being cautious primarily because I don't like this offense. I just don't. There's too many injuries, and like you mentioned, their top 3 players got injured. Everybody got injured. John Ross got injured his first year with this team. I don't know what they're doing with their strength and conditioning coach, or if he's hitting them with hammers or something. But these guys get injured all the time.
John Ross couldn't stay healthy when he was running a 40-yard dash, much less anywhere else. So I'm not going to put that on them. But the rest of them, yes.
And maybe they're just picking these guys. But
you can pencil Tyler Eifert in for like 2 games a season. So we know that too.
Right, exactly. But the bottom line for me is I did an article on Joe Mixon when we were coming into that draft, and I said he was the most talented running back in that draft. He can catch out of the backfield like CJ already said. He can do everything that a modern running back needs to be able to do. And to be honest with you, we have not seen his ceiling yet. Not even close to his ceiling yet. I think he has the potential to be one of the top 3 running backs in the league if he was on a better team, if he was in a better situation. So really for me, it's just about the team that he's around.
I'm debating right now where I would put him as like the most talented all-around backs in the league, and I think he's probably around 6 or 7 for me, like just pure talent in the league. I don't know. Anything you guys want to add though before we move on?
No, I think we can move on.
I think if this offensive line really performs well and people stay healthy, he's got a very high ceiling. But again, reasons to be cautious, which is why we all have him down this low. So let's move on. Number 11 consensus back on our list. CJ and I are agreed at 11, and Jason higher than us, one spot at 10 is Dalvin Cook. And I mean, obviously, he didn't earn this spot on our list last season, whereby excuse me, we're buying into what we saw in his freshman year before he got hurt, and that we think he's going to come back healthier, stronger, ready to go in his junior year, I assume, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Burned a lot of people last year, though.
Burned a lot of people, and therefore he's going to be down these lists. But this is a guy who was a very talented back and looked amazing in his freshman year before he went down to a non-contact injury. That alone is concerning, though. That's going to push him down draft lists. Last year, burned a lot of people. People drafted him high on that. He never really got back mentally. You could see he was not quite there and physically shaky at times. But I think, and we see this from time to time, with these serious knee injuries, it takes not that year, though you're medically cleared to play, you're not quite the same player until the following season. And that's why I believe that he still deserves to be, though a low end, deserves to be a running back one. I think he's definitely got that potential. Jason, you're higher than all of us. Anything you want to add?
Same argument as with Joe Mixon, except this is a better offense.
It is.
You know what I mean? He's going to get the opportunity to move the ball a little bit better. He's going once he gets a little bit more in sync with that quarterback. He's going to have an opportunity to really show out and really show us what he's got. He's had a year to kind of get right, so hopefully he'll have a good offseason. And yeah, I think he's got definite upside.
CJ, anything you want to add?
I don't know, man. You knocked it out, bro.
Yep, I mean, it's pretty straightforward, I think. All right, so next guy on our list, which I'm kind of surprised is our consensus 12, and Jason and I both have him at 12. Jason, or CJ, you're the lowest at 14, and it's really frustrating because you know at the end of the year, you don't want to have this guy. But to start the year, I mean, the ceiling is massive. I think that if the circumstances surrounding him weren't there, you'd be making an argument to put this guy around your top, probably, 5 to 8 range maybe? And that is Cleveland Browns running back Nick Chubb. Now, I mean, I'm on record saying that I don't want to touch Nick Chubb. I don't want to draft him, yet here I have him as a running back one. So, I don't know. Let's start with Jason. You're tied with me at 12. Why are we so high on Chubb?
You know, he proved himself. I mean, in limited touches, he really proved himself last year that he could be productive. And I really see him as the future at the position for this team. Now, they went out and got Kareem Hunt. Didn't make a lot of sense to me when they did that as far as that goes. But then I thought about it from a team perspective, and not from a fantasy perspective, but from a team perspective. Why the heck not? You got two stud running backs. These guys can spell each other, and you get no drop off basically when you sub one in for the other. So from a pure football standpoint, it makes complete sense. I think Nick Chubb, like I said, is going to be he's going to be cheaper, cheaper than Kareem Hunt is in the long run for them to keep. He's going to be their franchise guy. He's going to be awesome. As you said, though, really you're going to pick this guy up in the beginning of the year. You know, you're going to use him in the beginning of the year, and then when Kareem Hunt comes back, you're going to have to pick one of them to go with, and it's going to be tough.
Yeah. The reports coming out right now, which, of course, coach speak, is that when Kareem Hunt comes back, Nick Chubb's still going to be their workhorse and their lead guy. And it's true. Kareem Hunt gives them something that Nick Chubb doesn't do as well, which is pass catching, though I think we all think Nick Chubb can catch the ball decently well. That's where Kareem Hunt excels. I think Kareem Hunt, the thing is, he won't be here, I don't believe, in 2020. I think that next year he's going to be gone. He's going to get a contract somewhere. Just nobody wanted to go out there and have that bad publicity, but the Browns were willing to eat that. They're probably trying to extend him and then trade him and get something for him. I don't know what they're going to do, how they're going to approach it, but I think that the 2019 season is going to be a time where it's going to be interesting for Nick Chubb. And then moving forward, I think if he continues to break out like we saw last year, he's going to be one of these locked and loaded running back ones for us. But because of the Kareem Hunt question mark, this offense is going to be amazing. This offense is going to probably put up a lot of points. It's going to be in scoring position a lot. It's going to be great for Nick Chubb. And he's a guy who is therefore, pretty safe pick because he's going to run out the clock as well. But it's that dang Kareem Hunt question mark which is driving him down. CJ, do you have anything you want to add to this?
My main only reason why I had him this it's not that low, but the reason I have him at 14 was majority because of Kareem Hunt, and just that I mean, because outside of that, it was just a couple other players that I just liked just a little bit more than Nick Chubb. I mean, Nick Chubb is phenomenal talent in this offense. I feel like he's shown what he can be able to do in this offense, and that's why I'm still confused to this day on why they brought Kareem Hunt into this offense. I mean, this is the guy. Jason mentioned about not having much of a drop off. Well, you got Duke Johnson there. Duke Johnson there. That was your pass rushing guy, and you had him for the cheap. Now you still got Kareem Hunt for the cheap, but you still you could have had, it's just like now you want David Johnson. No, not David Johnson. Now Duke Johnson is requesting trades to get out because you ride Kareem Hunt in there now. That's basically taking up his role. So it just got messy. So I like Nick Chubb as a talent. I agree with you guys. At the beginning of the year, he's going to be great for you, and towards the end, that's where you're probably going to want to trade him away, or if you end up drafting both of them, he's going to be a guy that you're probably just going to hold on to if just in case Kareem Hunt gets hurt.
I stand by that. I think I know he would be somewhere higher than this. It's hard to move him up because again, there's so many guys that we like a lot this year. But I mean, I also know that I want to find a way to move him down because I don't want that headache as an RB1, my lead guy. It's going to start so nice, and then a little over halfway through the season, you're going to be kicking yourself for being a Nick Chubb owner, most likely. I think, again, the Browns are going to try and get something for Hunt. That would be my assumption. I don't know how they're going to do it. Maybe something compository. I don't really know, but whatever, that's a conversation for another day. Nick Chubb, he's our consensus 12. Might be higher next year, depending on how things go. Who knows? But for now, number 12. It'll be interesting to see how he shifts in our rankings moving forward. And that's our top 12 again. Number 1, Saquon Barkley. Number 2, Ezekiel Elliott. Number 3, Todd Gurley. Number 4, Alvin Kamara. Number 5, Christian McCaffrey. Number 6, Melvin Gordon. Number 7, James Conner. Number 8, David Johnson. Number 9, Le'Veon Bell. Number 10, Joe Mixon. Number 11, Dalvin Cook. And number 12, Nick Chubb. Now, rapid fire, I want us all to say one quick hit about these next 12 guys. We're not going to go into it. We're just going to say one thing we either like or dislike about them. So number 13, Aaron Jones. I'll say new offense, and he's the lead guy there. I think he's going to be great. Jason?
Got the opportunity to be the workhorse.
CJ?
Ditto.
Not really a point, but I'll take it. Number 14, Leonard Fournette. I have him at 17. I moved him down based on the news on what I heard, and that's because of injury risk and now possible repercussions of what's been going on. We'll just go 1, 2, 3 as it is revealed there. So CJ.
I think he's going to definitely improve because you got Nick Foles being there. He's going to help out the offense. I think we're going to start seeing Leonard Fournette back when he was a rookie year being dominant. With
the news that you've heard, are you going to keep him at 13 or just kind of wait and see?
I'm going to kind of wait and see, but he can definitely drop down if anything. I only expect it to be a fine, though.
I only ask because you're the highest out of us. Jason, at 14 for our number 14 overall consensus.
Not all that concerned about the ticket. I mean, he's gonna get fined. He's gonna pay it off. It's gonna be fine. We're gonna move on. And as CJ said, he's gonna get the opportunity to really show out the passing offense is gonna be better this year. So he's gonna get some running lanes.
All right, number 15. Both of you have him at 15. I'm the lowest at 18, and that is current lead back for the Kansas City Chiefs, Damian Williams. And that's the reason I'm concerned. I have to say current because it sounds like they're interested in pursuing other people because we haven't seen it over a full year. And it's just me being cautious, though I know the upside is very much there for him to finish 15 where you guys have him, or potentially considerably higher. CJ.
As it stands right now, he is the guy. He looked great last year, and he's in a high-power offense in Kansas City. That's kind of where I have him at.
Jason.
It's a good pass-catching running back in a offense. There are a lot of mouths to feed, which is why he's not an RB1.
Yep. Number 16, Marlon Mack. I'm at 15, the highest. Number 19 for you, CJ, the lowest. For me, it's simply they didn't bring anybody else in. As of now, they haven't signed anyone new. He's the lead back there. This offense is going to be greatly improved with Andrew Luck and the additions around him, and I think he has the opportunity to finish here. I think this is a good floor for him. CJ.
A guy that needs to be able to stay healthy. If he does, I feel like he can be able to be a great guy in this offense to be able to complement Andrew Luck.
All right, Jason.
They continue to improve on that offensive line, and he's going to get opportunity to feast and get some yardage.
That was number 16, Marlon Mack. At number 17, Devonta Freeman, a guy who's been a running back one many, many years, and we have him down at 17. I'm the highest at 14, and I will say he's coming back healthy. Tevin Coleman, his main competition for touches, is gone, and a new offensive coordinator comes in who knows how to split carries and has a very good track record of being able to run the ball. I like Philip is a good guy. I like Devonta Freeman to bounce back if he can stay healthy. CJ.
A guy that I do expect to bounce back, but I just want to be able to see how he's going to flow in this offense. So until then, this is where I got him at.
Jason, the lowest at 19.
Risk mitigation, got a new offensive coordinator. Always can kind of shake things up a little bit, and he's coming.
All right. Number 18, Philip Lindsay. I'm the lowest. Oh, no, I'm not the lowest. I'm at 19. Jason, you're lowest at 20. CJ at 16. And for me, it's he looked great last year, but this team clearly isn't sold on him, and we haven't seen it over a full season. Plus, Joe Flacco being there means they're probably going to stack the box, if I had to guess, because he's losing arm strength and he doesn't have weapons to really throw to. Those are my concerns. CJ.
Guy that I'm expecting to build off his rookie season. You know, Joe Flacco, he had great years when he had Ray Rice. This is another guy that is to that a par of a running back. So hope that they can be able to make that magic again.
Jason.
I'm really concerned about this offense because they seem to not be able to decide what they want to do, and they make bad decisions a lot. So, as you already mentioned, those points, as well as I don't like this offense.
And this dude finished as the number 12 running back last year, and we're just that sour on him. And I think it's all basically because of the system. So, yeah. So that was our number 18. At number 19, Mark Ingram. And typical fashion, I'm the lowest on my Ravens. I have him at 22. Both of you have him at 17, and I have him down that low because I know that we have a quarterback who's going to steal a lot of touches and touchdowns. I know we've got a bad habit of using a lot of running backs all the time, even if one gets hot, and I don't have a good reason as for why. So, as much as I love Mark Ingram and the idea of the lead back in a prolific rushing offense, it's not, I think, very good for fantasy for any one guy. But you guys both clearly are higher than him. So CJ, Mark Ingram.
Look, he got Lamar Jackson there. That's definitely going to be a plus for him, and he's going to be the feature guy because, look, you got to follow the contract. He's the guy with the big contract. I see your Ravens giving him the ball, and he's going to be able to benefit with Lamar Jackson being his quarterback.
I mean, it's not that big of a contract. It's $5 million a year. Jason, your guy, or your thought.
This is probably the most talented running back you guys have had on the Ravens for a very long time. So
Yeah,
I think
I would say so.
Utilize him. He's going to get a lot of yardage. He's going to get the opportunity. My only concern with him, why I haven't pushed down to 17, is because not a lot of targets to throw to right now in that offense.
There's
I'd like to
no
see
one
that
to
happen.
throw to. They're going to face stacked boxes every single play, and he's going to be splitting touches, no matter what we want to believe, with Gus Edwards and Kenneth Dixon, and of course Lamar Jackson himself. So I don't see a way I move him up. And that's my team. Moving on. Number 20, Tariq Cohen. And I'm shocked that we're honestly this low on him because I have him at 16, and I was trying to find a way to move him up because Jordan Howard's gone, and he is now the focal point in what was a kind of boring offense last year, but a very good team. The defense is going to win them field position battles, and a guy who's now going to be probably used in 3 downs. So I really like Tariq Cohen, and I think his floor is kind of where I have him around 16, and I think his ceiling could be a lot higher than this. But both of you much lower. CJ, you're down at 22. What are your thoughts?
I think the defense is going to get smart to Tariq Cohen's game and be able to shut that down. He's just I don't want to size shame, but he's like way too small for me. He really is. I think that he took advantage of his size and be able to use that in space and be able to get that going. But I think defense is going to be slick and start to be able to shut that down. And I expect Trubisky to be able to open his game up some more, get these wide receivers more involved. So, yes, he was the focal point in their offense as time passed, but I don't think he's going to be that productive this year.
Jason.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I agree with CJ. I just I don't like the fact that he is a smaller back, and especially when you're talking about this particular team, their DNA is to have a big bruising back. They like to have the big bruising back that runs between the tackles. So I'd expect them to go out and try to find that back, and Tariq Cohen to be the change of pace guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're done either, so we'll see what happens. Next guy on our list, number 21. Disrespectful, and yet we're all basically right there in line with each other. Lamar Miller. I'm at 20. CJ the highest at 18.
Highest.
How does that happen, CJ? And Jason the lowest at 22. I'm always the guy that's the Lamar Miller truther here. I'm always the highest. Look, he's another year older, and this is a team that is going to be trying to do a lot of different things, and I just kind of need to see it. And honestly, a lot of the guys I put in the same tier as him, I thought had higher ceilings. So, or at least maybe a safer floor, and therefore I moved them a little bit ahead of him. It's mostly age. CJ, the highest. Tell me why.
We saw Deshaun Watson's first year. Lamar Miller was fantastic with those when he was in the lineup as him being the quarterback. Now we're going to be able to see Lamar Miller play even better when they improve this goddamn offensive line that has been atrocious. They need to do it. If they do it, they're going to get better results for their quarterback, their offense, and their running back.
23rd ranked offensive line last year. Not great.
Terrible, dog.
Yeah. Jason.
And your last point is why I have him down to 22. I mean, that offensive line, you need an offensive line if you want to run the ball, especially when you have a smaller running back. Okay? That's why.
Yeah, he finished as the running back 22 last year. He's 21 for us in our consensus right now, and that's despite having a really good second half of the year. That's how slow he started. Derrick Henry, a guy who you're going to see probably go as a low-end running back 1 in a lot of circles, but not here. He's our consensus 23. I have him at 23. CJ the lowest at 24. Jason the highest at 18. What is happening on this show?
World.
What is happening? These rankings are going to look nothing like this in a week's time. I'm low on this because he's unbelievably inconsistent. If you take out those breakout games that he had out of nowhere against tough matchups, I mean, yeah, you could argue, oh, that's the talent, that's the potential, that's what we want to see and he can do. But in reality, we haven't seen it. It hasn't been that way. And yeah, he's been a very boom bust running back. And if you take those games out, he finished as basically where we have him ranked now, a low 2 waiver wire type guy. And yeah, we're hearing the narrative. This is going to be a run first offense. We heard that last year. It's risk mitigation. I like other guys around him better. 23 for me. CJ lower at 24. Tell me why.
Well, I'm a little 24 because look, yes, granted, I understand you're saying that you want to take the ball to Mark Mariota's hand. You want to build this team around Derrick Henry until you do it. Week after week, I will not believe it. And that's where I'm putting them because you still got Deion Lewis there. You're probably going to start trying to feed him the ball. There's a lot of shenanigans going on with this offense, and I'm not going to buy in this year. I'm not doing it. So I have him at 24.
A team that just spent an okay chunk of change on Adam Humphries as well, so to be their slot guy. So
not doing it.
They're upgrading their wide receiver core a little bit. Jason, your reason. 18 the highest.
I believe that this offense is getting slowly better, and I believe
fair.
that Derrick Henry, again, you actually alluded to it. Derrick Henry showed us the ceiling last year in a couple of those games. I mean, he showed us how good he could possibly be. That was the first year that he was expected to be the number 1 guy all by himself, and I think that he did okay. This year, I think he takes a step forward and he improves on that.
Man, when he gets hurt, Deion Lewis will be a nice pickup. All right, number 23, Jordan Howard, now with the Eagles. CJ and I both at 21, Jason Lewis at 24. He's going to be the lead back there. He's going to probably get you 200 rushing attempts, and that's a pretty good floor for a low-end RB2. CJ, your thoughts?
I think this is a guy that a lot of people forget about, and he's going to have to prove himself. He's going to have to reintroduce himself in the Eagles offense, and I think he's going to get an opportunity to be able to do that and be very productive and go back to being that form that he was in the first 3 seasons of the year, him finishing top 3 among running backs.
Jason, lowest at 24.
New face, new place. He problem in his last place, wasn't being very productive in that last year. Moves over to a new team. I'm going to give it some time before I start moving him up.
Jordan Howard at number 23. And our final guy, number 24, Chris Carson, a guy that both Jason and I have at 25 in our rankings as a waiver wire guy, or a flex guy, I should say. But CJ driving him into our top 2 tiers at number 20 for you. I'll say, look, he's going to be the starting job, but they spent a stupid pick on Rashard Penny. They're going to give him every opportunity. I think, though, I do believe that Pete Carroll is going to give the hot hand the ball. It's something that's always going to concern me if I'm a Chris Carson owner, and so therefore I have him at a point where I feel safe taking him. CJ, your thoughts?
Yeah, I do agree with your statement right there, man. But I still feel like this boy, damn it, Pete Carroll is going to continue to live by that motto. You know what I'm saying? The hot hand, the competitor. You know, who's the dog of that day. He's going to continue to go with that, and I think Chris Carson was that guy. He showed it on tape, man. He was very explosive in the passing game, running game. He helped out Russell Wilson a lot, and You know, if they continue to, I mean, you're going to continue to hear this. It's like beating a dead drum. If they can improve the offensive line, this offense is going to continue to grow, and it's definitely going to do wonders for the running game.
Jason.
Yeah, no, not doing it. Not doing it. Not with a Seattle Seahawks running back. Not going to happen. It's just not a smart move to do that the way that they're running their team right now. There's too many running backs. They just don't know how to do it very well anymore without Lynch. So, nope.
Man, it's been a while since they had Lynch, too. Yeah, this is a guy who, in his 2 seasons, never played a full 16. And he was wasn't he a 7th rounder, if I remember correctly? Yeah. So, not good. So, and beat out their 1st rounder. And that's why I think, though, again, Penny's going to get every opportunity, which is going to be bad. So, yeah, that's going to do it for us today. Again, quick recap. Number 13, Aaron Jones. Number 14, Leonard Fournette. Number 15, Damian Williams. Number 16, Marlon Mack. Number 17, Devonta Freeman. Number 18, Phillip Lindsay. Number 19, Mark Ingram. Number 20, Tariq Cohen. Number 21, Lamar Miller. Number 22, Derrick Henry. Number 23, Jordan Howard. And number 24, Chris Carson round out our top 2 tiers of running backs. With that being said, we are out of here. We'll be back on Tuesday to cover our early consensus wide receiver rankings. Make sure you guys are here for that. We're going to be doing in the same format that we did these running backs. We're going to give you the 1s, rapid fire the 2s, and we're going to move on from there. Make sure you guys subscribe wherever you're listening. Again, a year-round show here every Tuesday and Friday. Follow us on all social medias. Just search for The Fantasy Football Fanatics or on Twitter at the FF Fanatics, or individually, I'm at G Palmer FFF, CJ's at CJ Hickman 89, Jason at Jason Cabrera 13, and yeah, we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Any parting thoughts, guys?
Hey man, you guys take care. All right, you enjoy this show, and we'll see you next week.
Yep.
Good
Jason?
to have all 3 of us.
Yeah, it's a rare occurrence. Let's make this more of a common thing, I hope. All right, right over here, guys. Take care. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Tuesday. Bye, guys.